What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is Timeless Season 1, Episode 6, The Watergate Tape. So this was not quite the episode I was expecting. I was expecting kind of a White House break-in type episode. As it turns out, this is the episode where we finally get the team sort of realizing everything. It was a very good episode overall. First of all, we see Rufus being threatened by Rittenhouse again because of the Watergate stuff, because they know what Flynn's trying to do. So they get Rufus involved. They tell him, look, you have to make sure they don't hear the tape. Flynn doesn't hear it, Lucy doesn't hear it, all that stuff. And pretty much gives him a mission. And that's a pretty good way to start it off. Like everything that they did in the build-up was really well done. And it got the intensity flowing for this episode, because from the very beginning you already feel that intensity. You already feel kind of the weight of what's riding on this mission. And some of the little things about that episode, or the beginning of the episode, I just really loved how they did. He gets into the car and the Rittenhouse guy is talking to him, and like most typical big evil bad guys, starts just talking very confidently and showing that he knows more than Rufus thinks. Oh, disappointing game for your brother last night. I really thought that ball was going to drop in the net. And just, typical bad guy stuff. And Connor Mason's just like, enough with the theatrics, Rufus, get in. Just kind of cuts him off, because we've heard that before. It's a cliche, it's been done, and it's almost like they said, we're not actually going to do that, we're just going to make a joke about it. So it was kind of a little bit of humor in that, and yet you still feel the intensity. You still feel like Rittenhouse are a very dangerous group of people. And on top of that, it keeps building. The intensity builds on top. They go back there from the very beginning. Flynn steps in and kidnaps all of them. Wants Lucy and Rufus. He already has the tape, so he doesn't even need it. He wants Lucy and Rufus to go find this doc, which they're thinking document. It turns out it's an actual person, so I guess doctor. Wants them to go find this doc and bring it back to him. And so, the intensity is built. He's holding Wyatt hostage. And we find out more and more and more. First of all, the team finds out Lucy has been talking to Flynn pretty much from the beginning. The very first episode, we saw Flynn talk to her and tell her, look, you wrote this journal, we're going to work together later. She, of course, didn't want to believe it, but she didn't tell Wyatt or Rufus. And it kind of a question of why didn't you? It really, there wasn't a good reason for it. And so the only frustrating thing about this, later on, Rufus reveals to Lucy, look, I've been working for Rittenhouse, they've been forcing me to spy, they're threatening my family, and she gets upset about it. They're two completely different situations. In Lucy's, Flynn just came up to her and said, hey, we end up working together, Rittenhouse is evil, here's a journal, you wrote it, in the future. Rufus didn't want to spy, was being forced to by his boss, and then when he said no, Rittenhouse stepped in and said, we're going to threaten your family, and you're going to get mad at him for that? Wyatt is a different story. He just got lied to by both of them, and he's the only one that, he tried to write a letter to his wife to save her, and even then he told Lucy about it. She kind of saw him doing it, but he didn't try to hide it from her. He didn't try to hide the fact that this is what he wants to do. So he isn't really keeping a big secret like they were. That affects them at least. We hear Flynn telling him in this episode that he knows he hasn't told Lucy or Rufus about what actually happened to his wife, but that's not a secret that affects them. Lucy's secret affects the team. The fact that she talked to Flynn, the fact that the fact that Flynn told her some stuff that may affect their mission later on, yeah, you should tell them that. Rufus, your family's being threatened, I get it, but at the same time, I feel like you could do kind of what you did in this episode at one point, drop it in water and just be like, I'm sorry, it short-circuited, and then tell them what's going on with Rittenhouse. But either way, it's the one problem I have with this episode. The rest of it is really good. We get more backstory on Flynn and what happened with him and Rittenhouse. I kind of figured this was what the show is going to do with him. Make it to where he has a backstory that makes it make a bit more sense, but at the same time, you don't fully get behind him. Because like Wyatt says, this is a bit of a scorching earth thing, isn't it? Like trying to completely destroy America just to get to this one company. It makes sense that Rittenhouse is too big to just take down on his own. Like, that makes sense. But at the same time, going back in time, trying to destroy America, trying to kill people to destroy America, that's taking it a bit far. So you see Wyatt does understand where he's coming from, but doesn't understand his methods, doesn't understand why he's going so far as to do all of this, because that's just taking it too far. So I like that. I like how they're handling it. I like the fact that we got a bit more about Wyatt's backstory, learning about what actually happened to his wife, the fact that they were driving back, arguing. He pretty much, like, kind of kicks her out of the car, but when she does get out of the car, he doesn't even stay. Like, he just drives off, and expecting her to find her way home, and then she doesn't. So it really is kind of his fault that she's dead. You understand completely why he wants to change that, because wouldn't you? Like, your wife is dead, and it's pretty much your fault because you left her on the side of the road. Yeah, that kind of sucks. And then, of course, all the other stuff going on in this time. You've got Rittenhouse talking to Rufus is talking to the guy that, at the beginning, from Rittenhouse as a younger person, and telling him what's going on, pretty much telling him, look, we found this person, we're going to go get her. Tells him that the doc is a person. This guy says, hey, you need to kill her. Rufus says no. He says, give me the address and we'll do it for you. And so Rufus and Lucy end up working together, getting Flynn and Rittenhouse to show up at the same time at the house so that they have to fight while they go and save Wyatt from Flynn's people. So I love the setup for this episode. The way they handled it was really well done. Just all of this stuff, it makes sense. Except for the one thing with Lucy, it all makes sense. Like, the emotions involved, you understand motivations. It's really well done. And then on top of that, we have Lucy kind of dealing with the fact that now she knows who her father is. So she goes to see him and doesn't see him, like, doesn't actually talk to him at the beginning, but at the end of it, she goes to talk to him. Obviously, you kind of expected her to go, oh, I'm sorry, wrong house, because of the way she was acting. But then what makes it even more interesting is that, of course, he picks up the phone and starts to dial, and you're like, oh crap, what's going on? And he just says, you'll never believe who just showed up at my door. So is he talking to Rittenhouse? Is he talking to somebody else? That he obviously knows that Lucy is Lucy, and I don't know. I'm curious, very curious to see what's going on there, because the way that it's shot, the way that this episode ends, it kind of wants to make you think, ooh, is he working for Rittenhouse? So I don't know if that's going to be it, but we'll see. It's interesting. It's very interesting. So, long story short, really good episode. Really enjoyed it. A lot of good stuff involved. I'll be interested to see where the team's going to go from here, because obviously Wyatt, the soldier in him, is like, look, we're going to find out about Rittenhouse. Rufus, you're going to spy for us while pretending to spy on us. So you kind of feel like the trust is broken, of course. And especially for Wyatt, both of them lied to him. So the trust is broken, but yet they still have to work together. And they're working together against two foes now because they realize Rittenhouse is real. And on top of that, Flynn is trying to destroy history. So it's kind of like, which bad guy do you try to stop first? So I like the setup for it. They're doing a really good job with the show so far. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future timeless reviews. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.